Divorces can be one of the most difficult things to go through in life, and even more difficult if you have children that are involved. Well, today we're going to talk about some things that may help you if you're in that situation or someone that you know or care about. On this channel, we want to talk about lots of different topics and issues that individuals face in their life, and to see how the understanding and the application of principles or laws can help you deal with those situations. And we've asked people to comment or to suggest on different topics that we can share, and the one today is one of those topics. So if you've gone through this situation or have a family member or friend who has gone through a divorce with children, you know that that can be a very difficult thing to deal with. And part of that is because so much of what happens in divorce situations is outside of your control. We want things to be a certain way, and when we can't control them because we feel that it's not the way that it should be, then we feel sad, we feel angry, we feel anxious, and we oftentimes respond in ways that we try to control things that we cannot control. And in doing so, what we do is not only do we make ourselves unhappy and create more stress and anxiety in our life because we're in that state emotionally, then when we're around other people, we kind of send off that same energy to them and influence them to struggle as well. So let's talk about what you can do if you are in that situation. So the first principle to remember and to focus on is that principle of control, which says there are only three things that we control, which is our thoughts, our emotions, and our behavior. Everything else is influence. So if I'm getting divorced, I have no control over my spouse or ex-spouse. I have no control over what they do or don't do. I have no control over what the court decides or not. All I have control over is me and what I choose to do and how I choose to respond. Now, there's a lot of different ways that divorces can go. Sometimes you may get everything that you want or the best of what you want in that situation. Sometimes you could get the exact opposite of what you want. It could be possible that your ex-spouse is the one that ends up with custody of your children, or visitation, and maybe you don't even want them to have visitation. Maybe you're hoping that your ex-spouse will not have contact with your children because you believe that it's harmful to them, and maybe they fill their head with ideas and information that isn't true. All of those kinds of things, though, are things that you have no control over. And so by trying to control that, trying to make somebody do something that they don't want to do, oftentimes what we do is just create more of what we don't want. When we try to make somebody change, oftentimes we just create resistance. And so that person, instead of doing what we want them to do, does the opposite or does more of what we don't want them to do. So one of the other principles that is a foundational principle is the principle of accountability, which is you're accountable for your life, and that's it. Everybody else, so your children, your spouse, you influence, but you're not accountable for them. And so you have to look at, within your circumstance, what is it that you have control over? So you have control over yourself and the environment in your house or during the time that you're with your children. You don't have control over them when they're not with you. So sometimes, again, we try to control what happens away from us, and oftentimes we create more of what we don't want. So by focusing on and paying attention to what's going on with you. So if you're feeling sad or angry or depressed or any of those negative emotions because of what's going on, with the custody or the divorce. Just know that those emotions that you're feeling, that you're choosing to feel those based on the thoughts that you're having. Now again, you may look at that and say, yeah, but anybody would be angry, or anybody would be upset in this situation. Well, maybe the majority of people would be, but not everybody has to be. And so you need to look at, well, why would I choose or want to be angry? And again, if that doesn't ring true to you and you're struggling with that, go back and look at some of our other videos, because we explore that and talk about more about where emotions come from and how we choose our emotions. And there's reasons why we choose the emotions that we experience. But if what you really want is happiness in your life, then just know that you can be happy in any circumstance. So let's say that you're the parent that ends up losing custody of your kids, and maybe you don't get to see them. Maybe your ex-spouse is saying untrue things about you, so they're filling your children's heads full of lies about who you are. And this parent is putting on or pretending or trying to be somebody that they're not. And maybe they're buying your kids off. So you've got teenagers, and you've got, your ex-spouse who, gives them everything that they want. And your kids are at a place where, you're the disciplinarian, but they're the ones that lets them do whatever they want and give them whatever they want. And so now your kids are teenagers and they want to live with the other parent. Well, you don't have control over that. But again, what you do have control over is over yourself, and you're accountable for your life. So first and foremost, you need to take care of yourself, and trust that as you take care of yourself and you live by principles. So I set healthy boundaries in my life, which means I control the things that I can control. I let go of the things that are outside of my control. So I can't control what somebody else says about me. I can't control what anybody else thinks about me. But I can control what I do. And over time, trust that as people get to know you, they're going to see you for who you really are, and hope that in the end, things will work out the way that you want them to work out, or closer to the way that you want them to work out. So I've seen this many times throughout my career and my experience in working with families, is that, life is kind of like this. There's ups and downs. So there are times when things are not the way that we want them to be, and there are times when things are great. But we can choose to be okay with ourselves. We can choose to be at peace regardless of whatever is happening outside of our control. So even in a very difficult situation of maybe not having custody of your children, not being able to spend time with them, you still get to choose what you think about that, how you feel about that, and then what you do with your time. So find something else to do with your time instead of just talking to friends about how unfair life is, or sitting at home feeling sad and unhappy about how unfair life is, and worrying about your kids and what's going to happen to them in the future. Because what you're doing when you're doing that is putting out more of that negative energy. Instead, you could focus on, my time is freed up right now. I don't have my kids with me. I'm not able to spend time taking care of them. So I've got this time I could do something else with. Well, what do you have to offer that you could do with that time? Maybe there are other children that need your help and could benefit from your love and from your influence. Maybe your children are in a situation where they could benefit from somebody other than the parent that is with them that could be an influence on their life. And you're hoping for someone to come into your children's life. Well, you could be that person for someone else. Or you could get involved in anything, in your community or city or town or workplace, to where you're using your talents and abilities to create value for others. And as you get busy doing those things, you'll experience more of the happiness that can come into your life because of that. And then when you find yourself worrying about things that are outside of your control, catch yourself when you're doing that and turn it around, and instead focus on what you want your children's life to look like in the future. So envision them getting through the place that they're at and ultimately learning maybe who you really are as a person, learning what you're learning on this YouTube channel about principles, and that they will realize that, you know what, the way I've been living my life really hasn't brought me the happiness that I've wanted. And I've got this parent over here who's just been living their life, who has been consistent, who is happy all of the time, who has been there for me whenever I've needed them. When they're ready, they'll be more likely to come back to you, and you'll be at a place where you won't have resentment, you won't have anger and all of that build up because of the past years in your life and what you've gone through, but you'll just be in a place where you can welcome them into your life right now and move forward together, creating the life of your dreams and the life that you really want to achieve for yourself and for your family. Thanks for watching today. Make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ring the bell so that you get daily updates of new videos. If you would like to know more about who we are and what we do, visit our website at principlebasedliving.com. And if you're watching this on LinkedIn, be sure and follow me here.